Simpson measuring a coffin. One night in bed you're sleeping, next night is a wake that you're keeping. So you're praying to win the lotto, not to hear voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 crying. Voices from the ghetto. From the ghetto. We are not a forgotten people. Hear our prayer. With dented pride, they soldier on. Revolutions, bait politicians born, and often their tragic story brings a journalist glory. No wonder they view the world with scorn. From since the day they born, some call them rebels without a cause. These social victims of unjust laws, but yet they christen the heroes. Renegades, desperados, forever knocking on heaven's doors. Hear me? Steel band music shatters the silence. Harmony to conquer the violence. Big men run when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. Young Turks, they're Turk protecting, almost every young girl expecting. So tomorrow begs in a borrow, there'll be another voice from the ghetto.
Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, and Trinidad. Our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. This program is dedicated to where next? Where are we going? If we accept the fact that if we are in mortal danger as a society from the criminal conduct of those who are prepared to engage in violence, mayhem and chaos as a consequence, where are we going next? It is clear to me and anyone with a modicum of common sense and is very adept to the realities of Trinidad and Tobago, joint police force, whether it's 30, 35, 300 by themselves, will not solve a problem that is multifaceted, multidimensional, and requires a concomitant or a commensurate response. Yes, indeed. And I'm saying so because I am very appalled, very irritated, very vexed that today, as if it is deja vu, and within the context of an SOE, 2 young persons lost their lives again in Movan, almost in the same situation and condition as those who lost their lives before, and in close proximity to the area that those 2 lost their lives today. We have to get serious. And 20-something bullets, shells found on the scene. Yes, people. Yes, that is reality. But let's see a little more of Singing Sandra before we get into the nitty-gritty of this particular
when things get hot, afraid to look out the window. Your voices from the ghetto.
On this program.
Crying, crying, Lord, Lord, crying, crying.
So tell a friend, tell an enemy, the corridor transformation is here. And we intend, of course, to get to the blasted bottom of this and to offer solutions. No one else have tried, because they believe that we are fools and we don't know what we are doing. And therefore, those harebrained ideas that people from the outside looking in and believe that they could ascribe their, what I consider hairy-fairy solutions. We have a duty to protect this government from the continued shortfall and the same path as those that preceded it. I have a duty as a member of the coalition of interest, and I will damn well execute it.
That's the black man's choice. Like Shadow say, poverty is hell. She little girl child belly start to swell. Some say life is a cycle, but don't draw she no circle. Well, we all can do time to tell. Outside the siren keep howling, inside your belly will growling. Police raid very often, Simpson measuring a coffin. One night in bed you're sleeping, next night is a wake that you're keeping. So you're praying to win the lotto, not to hear voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 voices from the ghetto.
Yes, indeed, people. We have a duty and responsibility, man. Look at this. Look at this. Quite apart,
Evacuations and a widespread mobilization of security resources. Though
quite apart from more bomb threats, this time in Tobago, 2 young persons lost their lives in Mova today. When the SOE inevitably comes to an end, what do you think is going to happen? Those who we really fear or ought to fear are still inside but are not charged for anything. And even if they are charged, they have to be set free on bail. We are not living in a barbaric or what I consider to be Neanderthal caveman environment. We are living in a society that has a decent respect for human dignity, pride, and the fundamental freedoms that each individual born in this country must be respected for and given, in spite of how the police may feel, in spite of how the government may feel. There is no shortcut. There is no expediency. The system are there and they must be made to work. And if it is that there is any shortcomings, it's because we have a myopic group of individuals nestled in various institutions of social control. I'm talking here, yes, about the family. So I'm blaming myself as well as a member of a family or as the head of a family and every other family that is in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm blaming the schools, I'm blaming the churches, I'm blaming the judicial system, I'm blaming the prison system. All of us. And microscopically, we are talking about an all-of-community approach, where every microcosm of these various institutions of social control must play their part in order to bring sustainable respite to this obvious. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to foresee what is going to happen when the SOE is off. When one thought that bullets and so on will be a scarcity, today's incident tells us that it is not so. bullets are not scarce. Listen to this. So apart from the bomb scare, listen to this as well.
Threats were later determined to be false. While the Homeland Security Minister last week indicated police responded to the court cordon off the building and began their inquiries. In local developments, the Scarborough Magistrates Court was evacuated this morning following a bomb threat. Police and court employees confirmed the threat was received around 8 a.m., disrupting the morning's proceedings. Police responded to the court cordon off the building and began their inquiries. The evacuation comes more than a week after a series of bomb threats targeting several buildings across the country, including the Judicial Building in Bacolod, Tobago. The incident triggered evacuations and a widespread mobilization of security resources. Those threats were later determined to be false. While the Homeland Security Minister last week indicated that an arrest was imminent, police said yesterday that investigations continue with no arrests made. Under Section 21 of the Anti-Terrorism Act, a person who communicates a bomb threat is liable upon conviction to imprisonment for life. 2 men are dead following a shooting in Morvant yesterday. The victims are 27-year-old Shandal Hislop of Monrepo and 41-year-old.
Yeah, again, young people, 41, 20, in the 20s. Where are we going? But listen to the amount of bullets that was, shells that were found on the scene of the crime or incident.
Old Nigel Phillip of Bella Road in Belmont. Police say the men were among several people outside a minimart on Monrepo Road around 3 p.m. when 3 men got out of a vehicle and opened fire. The suspects reportedly were wearing black bulletproof vests and ski masks, continued shooting as the group ran for safety. Hislop died at the scene while Phillip died at the Port of Spain General Hospital. Police recovered 27 rounds of ammunition.
27 rounds of ammunition? That speaks volumes. And it questions that suppose the SOE was not around, what would have happened? As it will not be around at the end of this month. Well, nearing the end of next month, I should say. September. What will happen? Listen again.
Today, the victims are 27-year-old Shandal Hislop of Monrepo and 41-year-old Nigel Phillip of Bella Road in Belmont. Police say the men were among several people outside a minimart on Monrepo Road around 3 p.m. when 3 men got out of a vehicle and opened fire. The suspects reportedly were wearing black bulletproof vests and ski masks, continued shooting as the group ran for safety. Hislop died at the scene while Phillip died at the Port of Spain General Hospital. Police recovered 27 rounds of ammunition. Chief Secretary.
No. You hear what I say? The assailants kept firing a minimart. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? The likelihood that there were other persons there and the possibility, whether you want to call it collateral damage, it can't have a collateral damage where a life is lost, man. Other persons could have perished in that volley of bullets in Monrepo today. So I would want callers to focus on solutions, what we can admonish the authorities, quite apart from these joint patrol posts that is being set up as we speak. And are they more for appeasement as opposed to responding to the realities of Trinidad and Tobago, the flexibility, the mobility, and the versatility of the criminal elements who are prepared to do harm and still in possession of large caches of arms and ammunition. It's 27 bullets, they said, 27 shells are found on the scene. I know you can't believe your ears, but listen to this. Why am I saying that? Because it could have been any one of us passing there if we had business in that area. I know that these places are places that the average person will not go unless you are living there or you have a relative or you have a reason for it. But most people will avoid it. But the fact is, whether you have a reason or you couldn't avoid and you find yourself there, that is no reason or excuse for absorbing a bullet that may either cripple you, loss of limb and mobility, as well as your life. Cannot be.
And when 3 men got out of a vehicle and opened fire, the suspects reportedly were wearing black bulletproof vests and ski masks, continued shooting as the group ran for safety. Hislop died at the scene while Philip died at the Port of Spain General Hospital. Police recovered 27 rounds of ammunition. Chiefs reportedly were wearing black bulletproof vests and ski masks, continued shooting as the group ran for safety. Hislop died at the scene while Philip died at the Port of Spain General Hospital. Police recovered 27 rounds of ammunition.
Now again, they continue to fire. They had on bulletproof vests, so they were prepared for retaliation and expect to come away safely because the bulletproof vest is not there for skylark, for joke. They're to protect them. So they don't want to die. And of course, they don't want to be caught either. So they have on ski masks that will protect their identity. How does the police deal with that kind of situation where the assailants, the criminals are prepared and have prepared to escape the criminal justice system? And don't tell me that they did not do their surveillance as well to know that police will not be around, because they would have a confrontation. But they knew that the police is not around at the same time as well. And that is why I say, unless you are prepared to put a police in every corner and every street in Trinidad and Tobago, which is impractical, how are you dealing with that? How are you dealing with that? And I'm talking here not for the first time, both in terms of my concern and in terms of the regularity of these activities. It is not sufficient that at 4 days or 7 days, a month, no murders, and the police beat their chests. We have always said that, because it appears that when they do that, saying how much success that they would have achieved by the fact that murders have been reduced or not occurred in a particular month or period, they beat their chests. Only usually the next day, the next week, murders like peas. Murders like peas. And when that occurs, you would see on a regular basis, the police will say, well, listen, it is domestic oriented. Some man fall out with a woman, some boyfriend, girlfriend scenario, and they try to, of course, separate that murder from a murder that would have occurred via gang. And it appears to be that when it occurs as far as domestic matters or issues are concerned, it is one that is unavoidable. Because I have heard it said by, especially during the last administration, PNM, what we going to do if a man decides to kill a woman or vice versa, to make it balance. What we can't help it. We can't stop it. It is inevitable if they make up their mind. And on the other hand, we have been conditioned to be insensitive, to be blasé, because the murder is as a consequence of gang violence, so it's no big thing. To me, that is a cop-out. That is an excuse. I want to say as well that the police, whilst they have a role and function to find and to investigate and to bring the appropriate assailants to justice, and the judicial system will take its course, and then where the appropriate evidence is adjudicated upon and guilty is found, then of course the penal or the prison system does its work. We're going to examine each one of them in detail, particularly the appropriacy of the penal or the prison system, and whether rehabilitation is really the ethos or the basis, or is it one of pure, brutal, heinous, inhumane punishment, and depending on the length and the age of the person that would have been subjected to the prison system, whether recidivism and or the length of time served and the age of the individuals, that they see themselves as having a longer period to menace the society, or a shorter period where possibly one could be contrite and amend or mend their ways. We need to discuss these matters frontally, because I'm going to tell you something. It has implication for our economic advancement and the welfare of the society in general. Let us not waste time. And we cannot be eclectic or convenient or selective in our arguments and our concerns. We must find a way to arrest and to address this problem of violent crimes in this country. Because we said yesterday that if it is that a person believes that he should not work hard, whether hard here means academically in school, I'm talking about, in the learning process, or identifying professions, or whilst in the actual job, or indeed engaging in business, and you believe that your life can be snuffed out at any time, living in a Russian roulette, criminal violence environment, then again, what is the sense? And therefore, that barbarism, that heinous contemplation, heinous contemplation by those who are prepared to execute on their fellow men and women evil and painful projections that physically disrupts a whole family, an individual. We have to pay attention. What is this? Is this that it is a situation where we are retrogressing to anarchy, to the strong survive, jungle existence? and the fittest survive? Is it that? Is it that we are steering? Well, if that is the case, then we should be, at every level, be prepared for that. Everybody you encounter must be an enemy. You look over your shoulder, and a lot of course, defense and pro-action activities in terms of practice, whether you want to go and learn karate, judo, what have you, in order to defend yourself against your fellow man. Because at any time your life could be snuffed out, and you want at least to have a fighting chance to protect yourself. To protect yourself. But there is a fundamental principle and a fundamental rule that deals with all living things. And we exist for two things. Or we move for two things. To eat, to find food, and two, for protection. That's why we move. All human, including plants. Of course, plants will take a different methodology. They find their nutrients in the earth, and their roots will gravitate there because there is where the nutrients are, and they are going to continue to live. Of course, because they are fixed and stationary, they are unable to defend themselves. But of course, there are some that defend themselves from insects, for example, but they can't defend themselves from human beings, who is at the top of the food chain, so to speak. It'll cut down whole forests, etc. And we deplete, in a real sense, the oxygen level of the earth, on which we depend, of course, for our own survival, because we live really in an oxygen, let's say, chamber. That is the open atmosphere. As we move along, we inhale and we exhale carbon dioxide, but we inhale oxygen and, of course, some other gases, nitrogen, in order to sustain ourselves. But I am not here to give a biological lecture. I'm here to talk about the living and the fact that there are those who are prepared to do us harm, and those who have the responsibility to protect us from those harms. We must highlight and at the same time find mechanisms, because whilst they have some specific roles, we have a duty and responsibility to also make a contribution to the reduction of those who are prepared to do us harm, having regard to our judicial and criminal justice system that talks about a person is innocent until proven guilty. And such persons is entitled to bail even these days for the crime of murder. And we have a constitution that speaks to the freedom of expression, movement, equality before the law, and access to the law, access to the courts of the country. All of that make up Trinidad and Tobago's society, that matrix. So these are very fundamental issues and fundamental questions. But at the end of the day, if there is no human being to appreciate all of that, and to appreciate living in groups, as it is said that human beings are what? Gregarious animals. They live in groups. And maybe the ant and the bachaks and the bees know something and have practiced something that we don't, because we have specialization as well, but specialization is limited to in these lower, or should I say, in these colonies, whether it be bees, ants, or bachak. It's for the protection, for the development of the species. But human beings have an element for the destruction of the species. I don't have to tell you about the kind of weapons that are available today, inclusive of the atomic bomb. A penchant, a propensity for destruction. But the lines are open, people. I thought it was important to treat with this matter tonight as I continue on the vein of solutions to our burgeoning and obviously menacing and the trepidation associated clearly with the removal of the SOE. Removal of the SOE next month. Let me make sure that the lines are clear. The line is clear. Yes, so we have a caller now. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello, good night, Mr. Pastor Lennox.
Yes, man.
Pastor, but right now,
Oh, big brother.
the
I know
state
coming
is
over
ending the 17th of next month.
Yes.
Well, I hope the government take it in consideration and extend that state of emergency because life after goes on. Then the police will get on the ground and they know what to do. I find out what an easy way out. Well, the commissioner of police, or they get to that police post, we bring the police post for to go and lie down and sleep in there. 24 hours to be walking in the community to get to on the ground and really plan them and talk to the young man and the young woman out there and give them that hope and we have life and crime is not the way because we have a nation to save about. Lennox!
Hey!
There's a bunch of clunks that want to have toxicity or what? You know the latest one of your colleagues he want to be the mayor of Port of Spain.
Well, you know, some people go through life.
Politics is that dog show, you know.
Some people.
If I can hardly read that script, if I can hardly talk, but he want to be the mayor of Port of Spain and invite people to go and get the membership card to vote for him.
You can't vex
with the Prime Minister. She's so mad to invest in that fella to vote the mayor of Port of Spain. They waste our resources there.
You can't vex with a man. You can't vex with a man. But you can't vex with a man, people, who has an ambition, even though his capacity and ability is far short from what is required to manifest or materialize that ambition. Let me repeat. You cannot vex with a man for having an ambition. An ambition, even though his capacity, his ability falls far short of the requirements to achieve that objective or ambition. Let's go to the line. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yeah, good night. Good night, Uncle Lennox. Good night, Chair and Tobago.
Night, my friend.
I have a little idea about it. I don't know if civil society, people on the ground, could try and contribute in a way. Let me try and do something with regards to the schools and them, what bill and remain and vandalism and all them schools and them now.
Yes.
I don't know if it is, we could come together and each one of the schools and them in different constituencies and them now, get the people them involved, right? To go like a Saturday or something now, to go and clean up the buildings and them. Clean wrong the buildings and them. So the ministry now could come and assess, make proper assessment of them buildings and them, and let me see what we could do if we could keep fundraisers or something and get everybody involved, self-help as well, to refurbish what, you understand, what that thing and bring back the buildings and them a state with the children and can move in them, do schools and them now. So I don't know if we could pilot something together. This don't have to be a government initiative, but we could get the input of the Minister of Education and let him know what, you know, somebody, let me come up with that idea first and then go to him with a proposal that self-help fundraisers, right? We could try and do something and get them to school and then back up and then, because something needs to be done. So we can't sit down and wait, right? Even if the first thing we could do is organize people from each different constituencies where the schools are then falling. Let me go out Saturday or something and clean up. Look, the one in D-Bay. The one in D-Bay on Clark Road is back and no one thing inside that. But if you see that big building, if you see bush back, watchman, if you see the vegetation go up in them school compound and I'm telling you, watchman, I don't know what is really going on. So if it is, we can come together and let me do something as a solution. Right? So I know you're the man know to organize and plan and all them things. So
thank you very much. Yes, indeed.
Right? So
yes. Thank you very much. And that is the kind of thinking that we have to focus our attention to. Solutions. And it is not far-fetched, because each one of these schools are located in a particular community. The surrounding communities could encourage other persons from other communities by way of some kind of promotion. It is easy to do that. We have social media, etc. But of course, you have a core team in case, of course, the promotion is not as effective, or should I say, breed the response that you would like in terms of numbers. But whatever size of the cleanup group may be, you go in there and you incrementally, piece by piece, take charge and clean up. And of course, at the end of the day, the state will have to come in, because each one of these schools will also be in at least a regional corporation district. And therefore, there must be a counselor who would have access, of course, at least to the round table when there are statutory meetings of that particular borough, city, or regional corporation. And the regional corporations themselves can now solicit, I don't want to say beg, but solicit their colleagues in the Ministry of Works that has a ready available cadre, not just of labor, but equipment. You can solicit, of course, private sector individuals, these big conglomerates, or should I say large businesses that have a plethora of equipment to cut down the trees, for example, that may require something more than a waka. All of that. But it requires creativity, organization, and of course, human will. And therefore, once all of those are put together, then the young man's suggestion will certainly be something that is valid and can materialize. Let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. It appears that we lost that one. Yes. So, people, it is not far-fetched. And every single solution, or every single idea as a solution must be taken on board. And some may have massive impact, some may have smaller impact, but the fact is that all working together will certainly generate the kind of multiple attack in response to the social, economic, cultural, and psychological issues, inclusive of crime and criminality, gang warfare, borderline issues, and of course, gang assembly in general. I talk about negative here, because there are positive gangs and there are negative gangs. True or true, when we talk about gangs in our society, we believe that it is one that deals with violence, crime, and criminality, and of course, Trinidad music and all of that. No. A gang is also for positive. In fact, a gang sociologically is described as a group of individuals coming together, but they must have certain specific qualities to be defined sociologically as a gang. They must have about 4 major qualities. 1, the members must identify themselves as a member of that gang or that group. I won't say gang now, I will say group, because gang has a negative connotation in Trinidad and Tobago, so that group. And it could be lawyers, yeah. It could be community assembly. It could be a football team, yeah, a group. They identify themselves as members. 2, they must have a common value or philosophy or reason to come together. And that is why for football, it's because of football they came together. And because they are all lawyers, they come together. And because they are all doctors, they come together. Group, yes. So they must not just identify themselves as members, but have a common reason, a philosophy, a value. Yeah. And of course, thirdly, they must have regular interaction to maintain the group. Not like Heinz, who goes to, of course, a neighborhood to live and believe that because he is there among what we consider to be a section of the 1%ers, and if he is surrounded by, let's say, members of the Syrian community, he believes that he is a member there. No. He lives there, but he cannot be a member of that group because they do not he does not identify or doesn't meet the criteria of regular interaction, of having similar philosophical goals. That is why they came together. No, Heinz can't make that. And of course, worse yet, identifying each other as a member. Having no Syrian. So they're fooling themselves when they go there and believe that they could leave behind their African sisters and brothers in the quagmire and the morass and the squalor, and turn their backs on them, having of course achieved, and especially when that achievement is as a result of assistance provided by that very group that they turn their backs on, because without those votes in an election process, they could be where they are, far lesser to achieve suddenly what I describe as unmeritorious wealth. So let's go again. A group have at least 3 to 4 qualities. 1, they must identify themselves as a member. They have a common philosophy. They have regular interactions. And if you want to break it down now or superimpose this definition, or should I say criteria, onto what we consider to be gangs, you will have to conclude that that is a group. Those gangs that we are talking about is a group because they meet the 3 criteria that I mentioned earlier. They identify themselves as members. They have regular interaction, yes. And they have a common philosophical or value or rationale for coming together. And it is so in every single group in the society, whether it's a political group, whether it's a football group, a cricket group, whether it's a medical group, whether it's a pilot group, yeah, whether it's a URP group, whatever. So it is all part and parcel of that complex matrix that some sociologists, such as the functionalist sociologists, who see every component of the society as functional, playing their parts. They even go as far as to say that when people commit crime, they create work for the criminal lawyers and the criminal justice system, and thus they have a function. Well, that we could do without. That we could do without. I thought it was important, of course, to treat with those matters tonight, because the SOE is coming to an end. My good friend, I want to tell him that it is not in the interests of Trinidad and Tobago nor the government to prolong or to ask for an extension. Not only would they be vehemently opposed, but they will have to come to the reality that an extension would continue to be the beginnings of acceptance that you cannot deal with crime and criminality. That is what that is saying, in addition to other things. So to say that you need that in order to generate draconian measures with all the attendant risk. We saw that in the Philippines. Right now, the Philippine former president is now facing the International Criminal Court because, of course, he had a almost intractable crime situation, and he created squads to treat with that. And because it's human beings you're dealing with, some go overboard, and some people were innocently either prosecuted or killed or maimed. And so today he has to pay. That is the risk that you take. And so, out of an abundance of caution and the avoidance of all of those possibilities, then you revert to the normal operations and functions of the law enforcement agencies and those institutions that are responsible for the buttressing or the making certain that those institutions of social control are such that we have a minimal crime situation and we have an optimum social interaction, peace and security, wealth creation, and advancement of Trinidad and Tobago in general. That is the objective. That is the objective we must have. And so, whether it be the Ministry of Social Development, whether it be the Ministry of Works, whether it be the Ministry of Culture, whether it be the Ministry of Health, whether it be the Ministry of National Security, or in our case, Homeland Security, whether it be that of Agriculture, whether it be that of Labor, whether it be that of the Attorney General to create and look at laws in order to reinforce good governance and peace and security in the country. These institutions must be made to work in order to buttress, as I said, those fundamental institutions of social control, which of course are in the domain of the family, the schools, yes, the religious fraternity, law enforcement, the criminal justice system, the justice system as a whole, and indeed ultimately the rehabilitative potential of the prison system. Rehabilitative being the underlying word. Rehabilitative. In other words, preparing those who would have run afoul of the rules and laws of the country, so much so that they had to be put away and be punished in the process, must now be able to be prepared to get back into the society, because most crimes are committed and the penalties thereof or associated with them is usually for a time shorter than their lifespan. And so, in other words, they have to come out from the prison at some point in time. Whether they get 5 years, whether they get 3 months, they have to come out and back into the society. And therefore, the role of the prison must be one that is rehabilitative. Preparing them to re-enter, but not to do the same things that they did in order to get them into the criminal justice system. I want to finish tonight at 9:30, as I promised last night, but I went a little overboard, and I will try to maintain my time frame, so to speak. I want to also, of course, say that I got a message from Mr. COP, Dr. COP, that he is a bit tired and therefore may not be able to join us. But that is something that we must grow accustomed to as we continue, of course, to treat with these matters, irregardless of who are the bearers of the information. There is a saying, don't prosecute or persecute the messenger. Deal with the message. Well, it's the message we are talking about tonight. The SOE must come to an end. And having regard, just in case you just joined us, what would have leveraged what I am referring to that you may not be aware of. Of course, you have the benefit of going it over tonight, but in the interest of those who have just joined us, let me just tell you, this is what triggered tonight's discussion. We have a situation where there's an expansion of bomb threats, and indeed, of course, 2 murders in the Movant area. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
President, good night to you, Uncle Lennox, and
Yes,
to all the
man.
listeners.
Yes, man.
And I hope COP recuperate over the long weekend for his tiredness. But he's supposed to be tiredness, not tired. He's tired.
He's a hard worker. He's a hard worker.
But anyway,
He's a hard worker. All right, go ahead.
But Uncle Lennox,
Yes.
you see, you must teach him that when you have to spread the gospel of goodness, you don't get tired. We never get weary yet.
Yeah, maybe
Gotta
it's something
keep-
he still has to learn, and maybe is in something in operation. So you have to forgive him. I'm sure he's going to reach that level, because he has not demonstrated that he's a give-upper at all. But go ahead.
So a pleasant good night to each and every one who is listening to this program tonight. So Uncle Lennox, just as we never give up and we have work to be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And work we should have do. Your conversation tonight, what brings to my mind is that the PNM for the last 10 years, the true lack and failure of the PNM to serve and protect the citizens and to really invest into the citizens and the supporters. This is what we see in. Many statistics show that African population is incarcerated, right, with other ethnic groups, but they are in front. Then you see that poverty and left behind are the African diaspora, not diaspora, but citizens
Yes.
who support the PNM, right? Then you see in education is the same thing. Employment is only CPEP and URP and forestry makeshift with no good sustainable jobs that they can go to the bank with, the bank, to take a loan, not right? So the SOE and the ZOZO, where they say that the cultural grouping, I will call them gang, right? Because it has some of them now coming together and trying to make it work on their own, right? To keep the peace. So those who are walking away from the environment, once stigmatized, they were never given support for the last 10 years. And now, what you are saying tonight, I wish before the budget could come out, that the institutions, that what we have, the low-hanging fruits, because by the way of the ministers and cabinet note, certain things could implement like it was last week. So if we can work with the NGOs like you and the religious body like what you belongs to, could go in there and start to work one time and make the difference. And as it is always say, the pilot program and start implementing. Because the word implement does always be left behind. Because now the analysts, the scientists, and the photographers, they do everything. But the implementation and the pilot don't go hand in hand. So you see, if we put a pilot with the implementation, and which we could get done and lobby for, is good. And that is the way that your purpose and what you are fighting for, all you need is a little funding to get certain things done, and they don't have to give you the money. They can get the sponsorship to give you the necessary being, right? What you need to provide to get the program going. So, as you say, the public and the corporate sector to come in, and which is good. So, very well said, well executed, but I look for the day that the powers that be, if they can speed up the implementation and the pilot programs as fast as possible, because these are things could start with minimum financing, right? Certain sectors, because the prison service don't have the prison officers, and it's just to get the permission to go in, right? And start doing the programs. So, Uncle Lennox, I thank you very much and keep up the good work. And I really sincerely pray that your family, you, and Billy Moses, because we see, just as in scripture, is those who stand up with the instruction of God is being persecuted, ridiculed, and pushed one side and being condemned. And even the Bible come back and say, the cornerstone that the builder reject become the foundation, the pillar of the foundation. And the foolish man build his house upon the sand. A pleasant good night, Uncle Lennox.
Wow, wow, wow. I can't help but to say wow. I mean, I was yearning to say that because I have often said, and it is my duty to not just observe, but to also be as factual or pragmatic as possible. And when I hear persons like the last caller clearly understanding comprehensively the challenges that are ahead of us and is facing us, I have to commend such individuals. So I want to thank him for that intervention. Of course, there are some things that I will want to elaborate upon. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
Good night, my friend.
Good night to
yes, man.
Yes, sir. And good night to the corridor of transformation. You know, I want to recognize the political leader of Love the Rocket. Good night to Lavantil Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. Good night to all those candidates of Love the Rocket and the members and all political party, because, you know, we want to go forward ever, backward never. And we have a lot of work to be taken, right? I am one of the citizens of this Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and I want my nation, downtown Port of Spain, the first capital of Trinidad and Tobago, to be recognized as the original capital of Trinidad and Tobago. And we have a lot of work to be done there in that area, you know. Right now, as seen as we enter into the Christmas season here, a lot of activity is taking place all over, especially downtown Port of Spain there, the whole east-west corridor, the downtown, the Shogunas areas, the south area also, you know, and we seen persons, Lennox user man downtown Port of Spain there, and you know what is taking place in the area. And we ask for the law enforcement to come out and protect and serve with pride. Good evening to all those hard-working police officers, because Lennox, it have persons just gaping, boy. They're just going around and looking for it, right? Oh gosh, man, this is how, look, you just get up early in the morning. I don't know how Lennox, you just do that here. You just get up early and then go late in the night and then go and serve your constituency. Go and listen to the voice of the people in the ground. Listen to the cry and try to go in ministries. Because we had a discussion here to tell me to contact you back at night, but I went back, I went to see about something. Not only me, it have multiple persons who crying on Lennox's shoulder and his candidate, the people who need goods and services to be delivered. And this is what is happening at this point in time. We see, look today, it's very sad, a lady, right? She sit down in a restaurant, boy, Lennox boy. And she going to have a little something to eat. This fella, boy, come and snatch the woman bag and take off in a speed, right? People commenting, but what she doing with her money walking around the place? That is she money. If she have $2 there or $4 or $100,000, that is she money, boy. Nobody have no right to go and interfere with personal belongings, right? And this is a wickedness, right? These criminal elements, and he will get catch. He will get catch because in all different angles, the camera picking him up and you see his face clean, right? That is not right, man. How that we don't know. That is the lady money. Take it as all the money she have. This is not right. But he going to get things. We know that it have people going out and looking for honest work. I see people coming down and they're cleaning, they're doing the sweeping, they're doing this and trying to make a little change, right? Also, for far too long, persons I see they take a new approach and they say that they will be only issuing food badge for persons who will be in a who handling food properly, right? Now, this is not right. Over the years, it are persons who doing wrong. It are fellas right down in City Gate there. Them taking the car, they taking the bucket and washing down Maxi. And then you go see it have a lady with a food stall say, hey boy, come and bring some bucket water for me. And he take up that same dirty bucket just going to take the cloth, wash it fully bucket, and he cared for she. She taking that and making juice. I mean, everybody had to make $1. But you can't do them thing. We want professional people who could handle food properly. Now, if she's selling to make a little dollar, we don't know if she have a food badge. Now, in this drive, persons might have a 50-50 view, but we're watching the health issue and the standard. Persons now will have to account for what they're doing. You cannot just go and just sell things and you have no food badge. You're going out blocking up the pavement where people have to pass in a rushing morning and go their way, and it have some people selling next to a dustbin flight going in there. This is a serious thing. We have health inspectors. We want these health inspectors also to go wrong, right, in those restaurants where it have flies, cockroach, rat buzzing and dancing in the food, right? Do something about these things, right? This is a serious thing. Also, my brother Lennox, I want to say God blessings to the Honorable Prime Minister and the political leader and also the Minister of Works. No, sorry, the food production, because I see the fireworks will be replaced. Lennox, for far too long, the people in downtown Port of Spain, around that Woodbrook area, that St. Clair area, that zoo, the people from the zoo, that noise, boy. That noise deadly. We see now that they're having this, it will be replaced with this full drone, a silence firework. This is the way we want to enter our first world status. Canada doing it, America doing it, Switzerland, all these, Australia, all these places. This is good initiative, right? We like this thing here. Lennox, tonight the moon come out bright, boy. Come out bright and rising nice. I don't know if it's
I understand that there is a lunar eclipse on the horizon, so take a look. You might have total blockout by the shadow of the Earth on the moon. I understand it should be between tonight. We're going on to tomorrow, I believe it is. So, if you are outdoor person, take a look.
I'm watching at it, Lennox. Before I go, one thing I wanted to say.
Yes.
Tonight, right? One thing I want to say. And I know the good lady, she does listen. It's not for me. It's for the people of this Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I had a two-thought. And I think because the corridor of transformation, Lennox use a man of the people, by the people, for the people. I asking for the corridor of the Love the Rocket, right? That political entity, right? Laventille Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. We asking for this political party to be given some sort of land somewhere where they could host their own personal, it will be for the people in this country, their own personal radio station. Because once this political party get that land for that radio station, all sundry will get on board. And then we will be working. The voice of the people is God. The boss lady always said that. And the people will be talking and letting directly to her know what, because good night to the honorable boss lady, because she was be always trace back and listen to hear what is taking place and what is the movement next, right? Lennox, we didn't expect to plant a tomato tree and get it reaped today, but it will start to bear. It is starting to bear. God is great, right? And we know that good things will be delivered, goods and service to the people. Well, Lennox, keep up the good work you're doing. And I know you did tell me to give you a buzz, but that night, around that 7 o'clock, I had tie up. But
right.
You always listening to the people.
Still have the option. You still have that option.
Yes, it's still on, because what I was told by a particular person, they say that door is already open and it's just there now to ask for what you want.
Okay, good. We'll discuss that a little more. Let's not go into more detail on air. right? On the
Yes,
program.
good night, the Honorable Mr. Lennox. Good night.
Yes, good night to you. Yes, indeed. Well, of course, the last two callers raised some very salient points, and I think they are worth taking on board, as I said, and of course, the knowledge that they obviously would have gained from doing their own research is critical, because you see, it benefits all of us. I always see myself or see this program, and indeed the ground report, as a clearinghouse for the truth. First and foremost, a clearinghouse for the truth. So nothing stopping someone from calling in and delivering mendacious statements, things that are not truthful. Or it may be because of mischief. It may be as a consequence of misinformation that they themselves would have had and believe that it is valid. But when we analyze and when we interact, we certainly at the end of the day, the objective is to get to the truth. Why? Because it is so important for a realistic, or put another way, realistically making a decision in our own best interests and ultimately as a country. But if you are misinformed, as we said last night, with respect, let's say, to that statement made by Gonzalez, that somehow the yellow polo shirts that was supposed to be a commemorative symbol to celebrate 80 years or the 80th anniversary of TNTech, and you reduce it to something that is political, constructed and choreographed by the UNC, because you interpret a sentence in a circular that says that they must wear that. I think it is absolutely asinine, and someone who clearly has lost his marbles to be so foolish, to be so inane, and to be so dishonest. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Lennox. Good night, Mr. COP, wherever he is. I know it's a man to do what we have to do.
Yes.
You have to feed the nation. Just keep planting now the crops and feed the nation, man. Let us go past our market Sunday. Let us be at it. Let's see people are setting up the land, man. That is good.
Yes.
Lennox,
Hey.
I see 2 more by the dust boy.
Yes. In an area that we have had more than enough of. But it continues.
The ball in our where's it? Barry sent them two board members or 2 chairmen and thing in the.
Oh, you're talking about board members.
Square peg in the wrong hole.
Oh, right, yeah.
As we are square peg in the wrong hole, and that delivering for the people. And the food they're going to eat for them and their friends and family. And trying to victimize the poor and the privileged. Get rid of them.
Yeah, that's the heritage chairman, and the National Self-Help Commission CEO. Both of them you're referring to, right?
Yeah, MTS and two men from MTS gone today. I said that in the news tonight.
Oh, there's another 2. All right, they're going by the 2s, but
yeah.
All right, okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah, they're going by the 2s. But I pack up the Georgie Bumble and leave.
All right.
2 square pegs in wrong way to educate people out there who could do the job, activists who could fit that position and deliver for the people and them.
Certainly,
Not because they look like you're trying to help them. Nobody is vexed with you, but with the people who support the party, put them in position.
Yeah. Once it's political office.
I am a partner there, boy.
Go ahead.
I am a partner talking the boss man there, boy. Like you want to be, I feel you have to be the CEO for Ministry of Health, you know. Health inspection, you know.
Why say that?
You could go by all them Chinese. You could go by them Chinese restaurants that are closed them now. Well, I was at a rat running in Shire Street and all that place, and they feel it close them down. Look at the poor man, everybody has to eat a little food, but right now they're saying you're taking your food badge and one more business. Because right now, don't I say, all them double vendors and I'm saying inside the road, two of them have to leave and go, and they're getting good places to go and do to fly the train and had a food badge.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
well, I mean,
going to be sanitary. But I hope Bossman get a little play. So you can crack down and see all who selling legal food with all food badge and who having rats and roaches running in their business place and feeding the public. So Lennox, things looking nice, Lennox.
Hey.
I ain't crying fear, I look all fear.
I hear you.
Let they get a nice position there. We look at help people too. Well enough, one more thing.
Go ahead.
You see the east-west corridor there? All the youths and them sign little peace and thing in there and down the cool and collective.
Yeah.
Now is the time we are social we're going in the areas and more job for the young man and the young woman down in the area, down the Lennox.
Yeah.
They can give you a little nice little positions. I'm begging saying crying because you over 18, you can talk for yourself.
Yes,
but
man.
to help the young man and the young man will be coming by your office there and they can give them a little bread to Lennox.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
Yes.
Bless.
Thank you very much. I want to say with respect, again, I'm amazed with the level of intelligence and the level of information that people have, of course, the last caller notwithstanding. With respect to the gangs coming together, and I saw, of course, a picture with the Homeland Security Minister talking about former rivals have now decided. I want to say this category, not that, and I want to be careful as to the words that I'm using as well. I applaud any initiative that will redound to the reduction and, as far as I'm concerned, the elimination of the violence that we saw very rampant under the last administration in terms of record after record breaking murders. And that is the level at which I determine or evaluate the success or failure of crime initiatives in this country. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Mr. Lennox Smith.
Good night to you, my friend.
How are you doing, my friend?
Well, in this circumstance, I'm very depressed with respect to the two murders that took place today in Movant. And of course, I'm concerned about the
I think it's 27 and 41 or something, the ages.
Yeah, 27 cartridge shells were found at the scene of the crime. So that means 27 bullets at least was fired.
Now, Lennox, I'll tell you something. Mm-hmm. You could put a police post in every house in Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot stop crime. You know why? The mentality of the people was spoiled so far back. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is not a problem we inherit today. No? This is a problem of the culture of the PNM, which is on the way out. They have a few days again for the final rites to lay the flowers on the grave. Right? And we must understand that the youths and them get tied up in this system. It's sorry to say, but they get tied up in the policy of politics and money for the underworld. Now, you will see a model changing within the months coming. The government might say, all right, peace. Them fellas want peace. 2 of them signed peace, but what about the 1,000 of them who outside there who's gang members? What about them? Hello?
Go ahead, man. My eyes open big. I say like you're in my mind. You're reading my mind, but go ahead.
What about the rest of them who on the gang, who signed peace with them? I might discuss with you today, Lennox. Hey, let me shut down that program, boy. That ain't making sense. Tomorrow night I see you back pay. You telling me here today, no? And tomorrow night I see you back pay. At the end of the day, Patrick Manning tried this some years ago. It didn't work out. It just gets worse. It just gets worse, Lennox. And that is what have the society today and Port of Spain, and sorry to say the corridor, in that condition. I call it from south. I a San Fernando East man. I in the control right now. I down in the zone of the control.
I hear you. At the triangle.
I in the triangle, correct. Right? And we don't have a bacchanal in the triangle, and the triangle is war each other. Eh? But when come to serious business, we are killing nobody. Let me reason. Hey, how are we going about this? Because you know why? You have a functional system. You have somebody come and say, hey, I want chicken, but me not chicken, money to buy no chicken Sunday. I want pork and rice. The culture that gone. Morality gone. How did you on Lennox? Long time. I still remember my mother say, the last generation is my generation. I close to 50. Right? The last generation of good people is my generation. These youths and them, everything is AI and phone. AI and phone. Lennox, nobody ever listening to radio and sit down and you listening for news on radio. Everybody take up the phone, it's on the bed. The news on the bed now. Change, the society change. And by the society changing, it comes plenty more destruction because people have more time to do what they have to do. But how are we going back to fix that problem now? We don't know where to start. We trying all kind of things. Police boot, implementing youth program, this relief program, and pop whatever it is. Nothing working. You know why? Come back on the ground, implement program, social program. Who want to cut hair? Who want to learn to be a tailor? It's not like simply something again. Everybody going to have stone on badges. Long time as a youth, I can my pants by the tailor to go to school. I hem that pants to my uncle. I have to go to school Monday. It do have them thing. My daughter is 18 years. She never know what a seamstress. You understand why I go in Lennox?
Oh yeah, definitely, my friend. You go ahead. I'm waiting for you.
I going back down under the coconut shell because you know why? We as youth men had to run on for a long time and kill it, clean it, and then we cooking and eating on a Sunday. Now you're going and buy a chicken. Because money is so easy to come in the country. And where is the problem? How much money you want? But again, we spoil the society, Lennox. We spoil the society. And how we fixing the society? We can't take 5 years to do that. We can't take 10 years. It will change. But you have to put correct people in the correct position. Right? You, me, Andy, all your callers, Stefan, Reese, all them fellas, could talk how much they want every day. How much people they feel we could change? We can't change none. You know why? A man might listen that today and tomorrow morning go back doing the same thing to make $1. But tell him that it have a program starting here, boy. Come and learn to do shoemaking. Here I want to learn that have $100 when the week come out $200. Here what that. When he could take off something and put it on your head and say, give me your wallet there, boy. And he go away. He might get 500, 600 in our wallet. So this is what we bring we society to. And I will blame all politicians, Lennox, for having it in this place. You know why? Every time the committee election is in Lavantil, Port of Spain, East-West Corridor, what you're doing for the corridor? You wouldn't say, hey, let me open a big program up there and change up the place. And then you say now the people leaving the corridor and coming all about. If you attract people on the corridor will be active. You need to have people who understand the corridor first to begin. Like yourself, Lennox Smith. Right? And you will know the people who are active and who could get something rolling. We need to think about governance in a different way now. And I hope the Prime Minister listening tonight, ma'am, I'm begging you, invest in the East-West Corridor. I'm begging you, please. You know why? That is the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Because everything happening in Trinidad and Tobago is being signed in Port of Spain, which is the East-West Corridor. right? I'm begging you, give East West Corridor some sort of urgency. Let me see what we can do. My friend, hello?
Yes, go ahead. I'm just imbued with amazement. That's all. Are you finished?
No, why is that? Why is that? Tell me.
Because you are speaking not just to the converted, but you are talking my language.
Lennox, you and I speak the same language. You know why? We want prosperity for the youths. We don't live in it. It have no youth. And I say in the bankrupt. How much people dead before 60? Let me do a search. Check it. How much people died before they could get NIS? They gain a funeral grant which is 7,500. If you have an ID card, you're entitled to that. And they make more than 25 contribution. I think that's the qualification for that.
Yes.
But how much youths go in more than 30? How much youths go in more than 30? Because there was nothing to turn to. There was no social program where a youth man could say, I like to sing. Let me go in a studio and record a song. Right? Young brothers on these fellas, them fortunate that they had an opportunity and they make themselves. Right? But Lennox, too much businessmen in this country making money and not showing interest in the people of this country. Here I tell you. Right? All these contracts. Look, what is one bill in Florida? Right? Look at Patricia Alexis bill. And look how much buildings we have to break down under the HGC program. You can call Patricia and say, Patty, come now, you'll help me here. And you know she's so qualified. All the time, Brand Manning knows she's so qualified.
Well, somebody's
we need to hold these.
Yeah, somebody talk about, of course, moving from outhouse to White House. I think that speaks volumes as to the irony of that situation. But go ahead.
Unless she paint the outhouse white.
But it still will be outhouse.
My friend is still outhouse, but at the end of the day, look at the stretches women have. Yeah. At the end of the day, Brian Manning coming to talk now all the time, you know that? All the time.
Yeah.
I show you how call Patricia.
Yeah, that is what.
Look,
that is what
Christmas coming.
Is
Christmas coming. Give me 25 hamper now. Organize 25 hamper. So and so contract. I sure you will call and tell she that.
Yeah, definitely. That's pragmatic, yeah. But they fall out now and circumstances has changed, so he decides to.
Because he bed wet. He bed getting wet now, so he can't sleep.
Yeah.
So he making sure she can't lie down on the dry part of the bed. You understand what's going on there?
Yeah, definitely. Long time ago, especially when he's now being contrite.
He pee on he part of the bed, and he can't sleep, and she part dry. So he don't want she live to and sleep in the dry, because the same mattress they lie down on.
Yeah, so he
all he responsible. Use the MP. Use the MP. You supposed to know who getting what contract in your area.
Yeah, he sully his bed and then want to blame others for it. But I hear you. All right, well.
Then now you want to criticize the girl. You want to criticize the girl.
All right, let me wrap up. I have to wrap up now. All right, but it's nice.
Let's have a good night. I will see you in South sometime very soon, eh?
Soon. Call me tomorrow. I need to talk to you. All right.
Yes, my brother. No problem. Good. Right.
Yes, indeed, people. Quite knowledgeble indeed, and people are prepared to talk, and I think that is so fascinating. So you see me smiling from time to time. But let me just to update those who just joined us. This is what triggered tonight's discussion: the resurgence of additional bomb threats, and then you had 2 murders today as well.
Police and court employees confirmed the threat was received around 8 a.m., disrupting the morning's proceedings. Police responded to the court cordon off the building and began their inquiries. The evacuation comes more than a week after a series of bomb threats targeting several buildings across the country, including the Judicial Building in Bacolod, Tobago. The incident triggered evacuations and a widespread mobilization of security resources. Those threats were later determined to be false. While the Homeland Security Minister last week indicated that an arrest was imminent, police said yesterday that investigations continue with no arrests made. Under Section 21 of the Anti-Terrorism Act, a person who communicates a bomb threat is liable upon conviction to imprisonment for life. 2 men are dead following a shooting in Morvant yesterday. The victim.
That's the other incident that triggered tonight's extreme concern, and it is against the background that the SOE will be terminated next month. Is that an ominous sign? Is that to be dealt with, or should I say be treated with a high degree of trepidation, fear, fright? I leave it up to you, but I know what my position is. And there's something that was discussed tonight that I think has to be ventilated. We'll do that on Monday. Tonight being the last night, I have to go to my sabbatical tomorrow night. You know that. But certainly, we need to treat with that as well, because some solutions that would have been projected here tonight, I think needs further examination, especially where, as I've indicated, they are right in line. They are right in cooperation with what my own views are, having regard to the fact that the police by themselves cannot, impossible, cannot, and there is sufficient precedent, sufficient historical data and information to draw that inescapable conclusion. It will be another cycle. A cycle of what? A cycle of lull and trepidation, a cycle of calm and then tremendous activity, something like one of a volcanic nature. But let's finish this particular piece.
Are 27-year-old Shandal Hislop of Monrepo and 41-year-old Nigel Phillip of Bel Air Road in Belmont. Police say the men were among several people outside a mini-mart on Monrepo Road around 3 p.m. when 3 men got out of a vehicle and opened fire. The suspects reportedly were wearing black bulletproof vests, and ski masks continued shooting as the group ran for safety. Hislop died at the scene while Phillip died at the Port of Spain General Hospital. Police recovered 27 rounds of ammunition. Chiefs.
Yes, people, so that's where we are. I thought I should update those of you who just joined us. Very, very ominous sign. The signs of not so good things. Why? Because those who have been incarcerated or were arrested under those PDOs, preventive detention orders, will have to be released, since there is no SOE. No SOE equates no unilateral or draconian or arbitrary arrest. And those who have been charged, if they were when and if they were arrested, would have to be put on bail depending on the nature of the crime and the force of the case, the potency of the case advanced to the adjudicators, whether the magistrate or the high court. That is where we are. And the argument has been that there are institutions from within the community that must be deployed simultaneously or alongside or juxtaposing the force that the police will engage in other words, strong policing. And that is fundamentally what their job is, to find the perpetrators and to bring them to justice. But a sustainable reduction in crime must be the deployment of the community in its various dimensions to impact on the prophylactic or prevention of crime and criminality, which would include gravitation to gang and criminal activities and violence, and all of the other issues that the country is concerned about in terms of those subterranean cultural issues. Those issues that are not amenable, or put another way, are not salubrious, are not advantageous, are not in good spirit and goodwill for the general population. That is what we are talking about. And last night, of course, I gave you the typography of leaders in the Laventille context, where, of course, no one in Trinidad and Tobago can question my not just commitment, but my knowledge and, of course, creative ability for social and economic and cultural and psychological re-engineering, so as to bring a permanent respite to this problem, and utilizing what would have been created there as a microcosm, or put another way, to be replicated in other or similar communities similar to that of the Laventilles and along the east-west corridor. Let me just give you another of an initiative that I think, and close off tonight, that the committee has looked at. Last night I talked about, of course, the political foray. When we realized that the PNM was no damn good and very toxic, and therefore we had to find a way to compete or to arrest that, and therefore we decided to form the Laventille Outreach for Vertical Enrichment, a political vehicle that will take us at least to the boardroom of the Treasury, so that we can determine our own destiny politically, and therefore the benefits to be derived. Yeah. But there are others. We have formed, of course, the Ad Hoc Committee for the Eradication of Crime in Laventille. We have formed the MLIO, the Mobile Laventille Improvement Organization. We form, of course, LFL, Laventille for Laventillians. And a plethora of other similarly intent and focused institutions, including, of course, the children's home created by Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke. And don't believe that somehow the Ark of the Covenant and therefore the institution that spearheaded in part the acquisition of the Shouter Baptist Liberation Day on the 30th of March every year, celebrated now. Not by accident. We have to build capacity, and we have to find the institutions to so do, so as to bring the respite that we so desperately require at this point in time, particularly not just for these communities but for the entire country, because what they do here impacts on the entire country, and at the same time increases or reduces the fortunes of Trinidad and Tobago internationally. When one looks at the advisories against Trinidad and Tobago, whether emanating from North America, from Europe, or any other part of the globe, we have a duty, a big task. But let me just show you one of the other institutions that we looked at, and some of the initiatives that have been taken and can be taken. Yes, indeed. And what that is all about, that's the Mobile Lavantil Improvement Organization, a multifaceted, multidimensional, across the board institution dedicated, of course, to the Laventils as well. And the MOVA, of course, by the very name will tell you that. But it cuts across. In fact, at one time we were being called a government in our own right, because we touch on every single issue, whether it be that of health, whether female in specificity, whether it's youth, or whether, of course, is the aged, agriculture, culture. Yes. We did that. Education, sports, youths, all of that. At one time, I want to tell you that Marlon Blacks, one of the West Indian great bowlers, came from right there in Lavantil at the MLIO Trade School. Marlon Blacks, check it out and see. When we started, of course, environmental initiative by cleaning up the area and, of course, associating with the National Carnival Commission, we launched every carnival. We will make certain that the bottles that would normally harm people or be used as a weapon, I want to say that we have contributed, of course, to the banning of that, because we were concerned about these bottles, and therefore we had a team of persons throughout Port of Spain in particular, and eventually, of course, in Arima and San Fernando, looking at the clearing and the moving of glass bottles from on the streets, especially broken ones, as part of the environmental cleanup, but at the same time taking weapons, potential weapons off the streets, which were used regularly in days gone by as missiles to harm and endanger people around Carnival time, spectators, participants or non-participants. That's what we did. So these are the type of initiatives I expect that will come out, and as one caller rightly said, they are cost effective. If the government has to do that, they have to pay a ton load of money, but of course if the community does it, it means that they have to pay much less or contribute much less financially, and therefore less burden on the treasury of the country, and at the same time doesn't have all of the regulatory and all of the, what I consider to be the labor issues, because these are basically volunteer institutions. But if the government deploys it or employs it, they have to find NIS, they have to find the salaries every month that is consistent with at least the minimum wage, all of that. We don't have that. These institutions doesn't have that challenge or that battle to treat with, and therefore can do the work more effectively and much more economically, and achieve the objective of making Trinidad and Tobago a place to visit and to be appreciated. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you tomorrow morning on the Ground Report on Talk City 91.1. Andy Snipes and myself, as we continue with these and other issues. Let us, of course, close with that solemn but very appropriate piece of music done by Singing Sandra, the late Singing Sandra. We owe her a debt of gratitude, even though she has passed away, because of the legacy that she would have left in music and song, and very appropriate for communities such as that which we are concerned with.
Voices from the ghetto. We are not a forgotten people. Hear our prayer. represented pride they soldier on. Revolutions, faith, politicians born. And often their tragic story brings a journalist glory. No wonder they view the world with scorn. From since the day they born, some call them rebels without a cause. These social victims of unjust laws, but yet they christen the heroes, renegades, desperados, forever knocking on heaven's doors. Hear me? Steel band music shatters the silence, harmony to conquer the violence. Big men run when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. Young Turks, they're turf protecting, almost every young girl expecting. So tomorrow begs till a borrow, there'll be another voice from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, crying, crying, yeah. Voices from the ghetto, crying. Pitico, mama, crying. Pitico, papa, crying. Voices from the ghetto. Social amenities, Lord,